my friends, it's Kayla. I know this doesn't look like my Third Time's a Charm series, but it is. Once the holidays are over, I'll change the title and the thumbnail so it matches with the rest of the series. But for now, this is gonna be my only kind of holiday adjacent vlog of the entire year. So I just wanted to hang out with you and like decorate my house and go shopping for decor and I don't know, have hot chocolate, go sledding, like just do some type of wintry holiday activities with you while I read a couple things. So if you're new to the Third Time's a Charm series, this is season 2, episode 3. And the idea is I'm reading from authors who I've read 2 books from, one that I've loved, one that I haven't, and this is my third experience with that author. This one was intended to be contemporary or realistic fiction, but I'm choosing me rather than a perfectly curated TBR because there are definitely some literary authors who I should revisit, but I haven't read them in so many years, or the book that they have out that I want to read from them isn't literary fiction, so it doesn't fit into like the third episode how it was supposed to be, because the first one was thriller mysteries, the second one was fantasy science fiction, but I don't have an episode where I'm slotting in nonfiction or historical anyway, so I thought I would just kind of do that here. What I'm saying is it's gonna be a mixed bag, but I'm just reading 3 things that I'm actually interested in, and they do fit the theme, just not the genre. So the first author who I've read 2 books from, loved one, disliked one, is Bethany C. Morrow. I love how she writes such a range of genres. Like, she has done everything: horror, fantasy, science fiction, historical. Like, she's got such a range, and I really liked A Song Below Water. And for the fantasy episode, I was planning on reading A Chorus Rises, but I decided to prioritize some other things instead, and I'm just less interested in this than I was when I picked it up. Another option I have is Mem, which I think is sci-fi. It's very short, conducive to this video. The book I didn't enjoy from her is more like adult fiction and kind of horror, weird vibes, and I thought it would be for me, but it wasn't. I would still recommend it to lots of people. But what I decided to do, because I was planning on rereading Little Women this holiday season, I thought, what if I read the retelling, the remixed version? It's called So Many Beginnings. It's part of this whole series where all of these things are being retold, from The Great Gatsby to Treasure Island to Romeo and Juliet. Next year, we're even getting a Secret Garden remix from Sherry Demoline, who's one of my favorite authors. So I think, seeing as the third season is supposed to be authors who I've read from twice and loved both, and the third time is seeing if I can consider them an all-time favorite, we should include that book. But this just felt really good to me because I actually had an entire video planned where I was gonna read like 3 to 4 Little Women retellings, and it just didn't pan out. And this is one of the ones I had planned, and I'm excited to see what she's done with the story. The second author I'm including is Madeline Miller, who I never even considered for the Third Time's a Charm series because I wasn't planning on reading anything after The Song of Achilles because I didn't love it. This isn't one I necessarily hated and loved. It's one that just didn't live up to the hype for me, and then one I loved. Cersei was chosen for me by picking a book out of a jar from my channel members. I'm so glad that happened. This was such a win for me. So I'm not going to be reading an entire novel, but this little book is just so cute. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Galatia. My reference point, the historical context of these stories, doesn't exist for me. I love short stories, and I just thought this would be fun to read in this season. And then when I picked this up, I was reminded of one of my favorite short nonfictions called something about stars, Navigate Your Stars by Jesmyn Ward. They look really similar to me, and I love commencement speeches, not listening to them but reading them. Well, I'm sure they'd be fine to listen to too, but I just mean, like, I love picking up a tiny little book that is meant to inspire an entire group of people. I just think that's really interesting. I gave that 5 stars last year, the year before, and I don't even know that I realized in the moment that it was from an author I've read from before, a novel called Where the Line Bleeds that I didn't like. But I've had Salvage the Bones on my shelves for a while, and then it's also connected to this book called Sing Unburied Sing. It does say they're part of the same series, but I don't know if they have overlapping characters, if they just exist in the same time period. So I was gonna read this, but then I was thinking, if the thing that I loved from Jesmyn Ward was nonfiction, why don't I just pick up her nonfiction, her memoir, I believe. It's called, yeah, it says a memoir right there. It's called Men We Reaped. And I just think it would be interesting to read more about her and her life and her thoughts and opinions. And so that's my TBR for this week. It doesn't fit into the literary fiction goal that I had at all, not 1 out of 3 times. But this is what we're doing while I'm in the midst of getting everything ready for the holidays. I think I'm gonna pick up the audiobook if there is one. This will just be a nice cozy read, and this will be a quick one. And they're all from authors I have previous experience with. So today I am going to pull out all of the holiday decor, and then we're gonna go out into town and get some extra things. I think I want to get some more, like, I don't know, wreaths, foliage. I'm really counting on past Kayla here in the hopes that these 3 bins are all organized properly, but I don't know if I want to give her that much credit. Hopefully one is tree centric, which I'm not pulling out yet because our house is just too small to have a tree up for an entire month.
What are you doing?
I'm filming.
In the closet.
Yes, Liam, in the closet.
Are you okay?
Okay, hopefully another one is for decor just around the house, and then there's a third one that maybe is just like wrapping supplies. Are you here to help?
Hi guys.
I bet this box is really pretty. This box is full of, I can hear things in here. Okay, oh no. Ornaments, decor, and wrapping stuff all in there. Please be Christmas. That's not Christmas. Okay, at this point, I have read the first couple chapters of this. And I'm pretty sure I saw that the audiobook is credited to the author, so the author's note at the end is read by her. So I'll just record that and play it for you. Hopefully that's not infringing on any copyright, so you can understand why this was a retelling, why it was important for her to write. That's not Christmas. Here's what we're working with. Bags. Hey, I put all of my, what are these called? Garlands in bags?
So Many Beginnings is historical fiction. It's based on meticulously researched and collated correspondences and documentation, some of which I painstakingly searched through extensive endnotes in academic papers available on JSTOR. The lion's share of my treasure, and indeed the basis for the March family's life, is found in Patricia C. Click's Time Full of Trial, The Roanoke Island Freedmen's Colony, 1862 to 1867, University of North Carolina Press. It's a book I had never heard of and did not own prior to this project, despite being an American-educated adult with a university degree and having had a partner whose undergraduate degree was in American Studies. That we could pass through more than 15 years of education with all its history components and requirements and have had no instruction on something as distinct as the Free People's Colonies is alarming, to say the least. This note is not to defend the historicity in So Many Beginnings, though. It's to challenge what we have accepted as history and acknowledge the roles that white supremacy and anti-blackness play in that conception. For people woefully uneducated in the discipline, it's not adherence to canon that makes us challenge the validity of accents and diction and presence and impact. It is the mythology that we've ingested and which has shaped our national imagination. For an audience supposedly unaware of the Tulsa Massacre and the brutality of sundown towns until recent television shows showcased them, it's laughable to assume resistance to historical truth is based on a breadth of knowledge. The sad truth is that any nation that would intentionally do the things ours has cannot be trusted to relay its doings. History must be searched out, and the people that myths have omitted or misrepresented, restored. My deepest gratitude to the true historians doing that work, so that I can do mine.
I'm so glad I decided to do this before going out shopping, because I was so excited when I found these. They were really cheap at Superstore last year, but this green is not like the same tone as the stockings that I really love and I'm keeping. I think I'm gonna put together a bunch of stuff to donate once I go out and see what I can replace. Not that many things, probably like 10 things that I'm going to swap out. We also need to pick up some stuff while we're out for our adoptive family, and Liam has like food bank donation things every single day for the next 2 weeks. They bring a different thing every day, so we need to go get like a boxed item, a salty item, a sweet item, and get all that together. I love these stockings. I love the gradient of them, but these that I bought last year, I bought these just because there was no other option. I think the year before we broke our stocking holders, and then last year there was absolutely nothing, and these are way too light. They're super cute, but they don't actually hold the stocking once it's full of stuff. I might get rid of my Goldie wreath because I just want to have some more greenery in here. And then all my trees are a staple. These are going to go on like the TV stand and the dresser and the desk and wherever else. I have a mix of wood things, white ones. I don't think I love this Santa anymore. This is pretty much all my decor. It's just like trees. Now I can fill this bin with all of my gourds that are still around the house and tuck them away. start of Candy Cane Lane. It'll get better in a couple weeks. Oh, there's a tree over here that's really colorful.
Oh snap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, get that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, make sure to show half of the inside of the Jeep while you do it.
Oh my god.
You're so talented.
Someone's tree.
Oh, this one's pretty.
It's blue.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my god, look at that giant snowman.
Where? Oh snap.
Fantastic news. This is going really well, and I had a really successful shopping trip. Like, found pretty much everything we needed to donate, to gift, and to decorate. One thing is this cushion. I've been looking for just like the perfect cushion that's subtle, that could like transition seasonally, that's not like, you know, as seasonal as this one. And this super cozy gray blanket. So now the couch is cozy again, even though I took away all of the autumn vibe colors. We also found new things for stockings, and then all of these garlands from Michael's were 50% off. I'm gonna put them everywhere, on top of the cupboards, on top of the windows. And then these lights I think I'm gonna put behind the curtains in our room, and they like dangle. I think that's all the decor stuff. I'll do a whole nother montage when I'm putting everything together, probably tomorrow, because it's gotten pretty late now. We went and we had dinner, had a lot of other things to do. Then Liam picked out this little game. Like, you pull a card and you both have to build that shape out of little like Tetris pieces. And then he picked out some mug cakes. So we're gonna have a little family game night in a bit. So many beginnings. I am a quarter or a third of the way in. It's definitely reading quickly, and it's shorter than the original. So it's set in the same time period, but we're following a Black family, and they were formerly enslaved, and there are these colonies that are, you know, working to build free communities and bring people in, and all the girls have the same names. It's not a direct retelling. I think they're gonna go on different kind of life journeys. So Beth's name is Bethlehem, so each girl has like a slightly different name, but they're still Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. And Jo doesn't start out the book being really interested in writing. She has a lot of intelligence and just words to share, and Meg's really encouraging her to put her words down on paper and start writing, because she has such powerful things to say. So it seems like her passion is going to lie with writing like nonfiction as opposed to fiction. And then we have Meg, who I don't really know what's going on with her relationship, but it's definitely different from the original. And even the dynamics within the family are a little bit different. I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but it's interesting the way these characters are being introduced and how they're connected outside of just being sisters. It's still got those very cozy vibes. Right now it's set in summertime. They're talking about how hot it is, and there are obviously a lot of opportunities to have different discussions throughout the story. So I think, like, regarding Beth, there are going to be some different things going on as far as like how Black women are treated in medical situations, how they're not believed, or how their symptoms, people say that they're making them up, or they can handle more pain than other people, like all of the racist things that have been part of the medical community since forever. So I'm going to continue, and I'll check back in with you when it's mug cake time. Each one needs a tablespoon and a teaspoon of milk. Nice, nice. Killing it. Oh yeah, and then a teaspoon.
And you want a good consistency, like chocolate. Let's stand for 2 minutes.
Oh,
Complete
got it.
cooking.
Okay, that's a lot of icing. Okay, I'm ready to try mine. Are you trying yours, or are you waiting? Do you like your new pillow? Hot. Good Lord. Merry Christmas. Okay, ready?
Okay. Hey, I'm the youngest. Okay.
I think I'm... What? I don't even understand what just happened.
3, 2, 1, go.
can I show you guys my favorite thing that I did? Oh god, I can't find the switch now. Ta-da! Do you love it? Question 2, can I use it as lighting? Oh my god, I forgot I have these in my hair. I'll just do anything to get my bangs out of my face. I need a haircut so bad. Oh man, I wanted to be able to film with my basic bitch twinkly lights behind me. Okay, you can kind of see them with this lighting. I finished So Many Beginnings, and it just felt really right that I was reading this in amongst decorating the house for the holidays. I actually don't like a lot of how I set up the decor, and I moved some things after. Like, I took all of my pink things that were out in the living room and I put them on my shelf. So now it's more sage green out there. Oh well, it feels festive. And the best news is that I enjoyed this. I'm giving it 4 stars. This was exactly what I was expecting it to be, as far as how closely it stayed to the original story. It didn't feel like a retelling. It didn't feel like fan fiction. And by that, I mean, it didn't feel like she was making these decisions for the characters that didn't feel genuine and were like fan service. And I think one of my concerns with that Little Women vlog was, am I going to end up reading books that are just meant for people to ship certain characters and end up in certain life situations that the original book made them sad about? Which, I mean, sure, that's a fine way to write a book too. But I think what Bethany Morrow did was give the same vibe, the same type of story. The characters felt really familiar, but they were in different scenarios and they had different life circumstances, obviously. And there was a lot of conversations that got to be had in here. Some that I appreciated were the ones about being free and what that meant within the community and the colony, and how people are treated differently whether they're born free or were freed. When it came to Amy, or Amethyst, her storyline was really interesting because there were all of these things that the sisters were saying about Amy's childhood and how so many of them had their childhoods stripped away due to slavery. And now they're getting to live a new life. And because Amy has this innocence about her, they want her to extend her childhood as much as she can. I feel like Amy is a hard character to get on board with in the original book and the movies and whatever. You come to understand her, but she is like an aggravating character. She's the youngest of the family and she's a character designed to make you feel a certain way. And in here, it was like giving her even more reason for why she's behaving the way she is and how everybody in her family is coddling her and why. And I just thought it was really beautiful. The thing that definitely exists in here from the original story is just the family dynamics, how close-knit they feel, how they're going to be, as sisters are, each other's like worst critic, but also they're going to stand up for each other in every single scenario. They're such a kind family, but they're also not going to put up with any bullshit. Let me find the scene that had a real impact on me, because they're engaging with this white woman who thinks that she has their best interest at heart and wants to offer the family certain opportunities. She shows interest in Amy's potential as a dancer and essentially says, like, it never occurred to me that black girls could be as talented as white girls. And she stops abruptly mid-sentence, realizing what she said. And it goes, the March women did not rescue her. They did not speak or smile to ease Constance's palpable discomfort when their own had not been considered. And as that scene continues, it's just very indicative of how this family holds themselves. And there continues to be multiple things said in many like teaching lessons about how it's not about intent, and how even the most well-meaning people cause harm and have their own biases and racism that they aren't even recognizing, because they see racism as one certain thing when they see themselves as like saviors coming to the rescue. And how could you deny my help when you were formerly enslaved? There's also certain scenes that flash back to those days that are really painful to read. And I really respect the direction this book went. I think every single girl got a different story than the original, whether it's their identity or their relationship or their future job things. Like even with Jo in her writing, she had to confront certain people about the type of narrative that she's allowed to write, much like the original, but it's like a different type of conversation in here. This felt exactly what a remix should kind of be, and makes me more open to picking up more things in this series. So I think if you've been considering picking this up, I would recommend it, especially, or I think almost I would say exclusively for Little Women fans. I don't know that this holds up on its own because of the length. But if you've seen the movies or read the book and you have an idea of who these characters are already, it's interesting seeing them in a different environment. And Bethany C. Morrow's writing is always solid, even if I don't love every book from her. So I will be continuing, and I think I don't have time to read A Chorus Rises, but I know that I should, and I'm gonna feel bad about it until I pick it up. But now at least I know I definitely will pick it up. And I'll see you tomorrow. Hello and good afternoon. What has happened since I saw you last? Rob and Liam went to hockey. Now Liam's not feeling well and he stayed home from school. So it's still like a work day for me, but I haven't really gotten much done. I did a little bit of work this morning and listened to some of the audiobook. So this is what I'm reading next, Men We Reaped by Jesmyn Ward. And now since we're just staying in today, I thought I would get an activity for us to do. And I just found these that I bought probably a week ago and then forgot about in the Jeep. And they're ornaments, they're needle felting. I hate that there's so much packaging. I felt the same way with my cross stitching when I did like the cross stitch episode and I bought little kits, and I was like, I know that I could find these supplies just out, but until I fully understand how to do the craft and how to find everything that I want, the kits are just what I'm picking up. We got one of these last year and Liam got into felting, and this little penguin came out of it that is so cute. So I grabbed us a dog and a bear. I don't know if that's for something. We've got string and then all of this felt. Is it called felt when it looks like this? Oh, and then it comes with, okay, see, this is what makes it worth buying a kit, because there's a little styrofoam shape that you just stick the felt onto. For the penguin, it was just like you had to make the entire thing. Like there's nothing under the felt, it's just a big ball of felt. So I think we'll hang out and do some felting, but it's pretty likely that Liam's gonna end up taking a nap. So I'm gonna pop the audiobook book back in if that happens while I finish felting. So it's almost like we have a mini trying to find a hobby craft series, because I am listening to a nonfiction and doing an activity. So this is the bear. Which one would you like to do, the dog or the polar bear?
The polar bear.
Okay. This has already completely captured my attention. It is Jesmyn Ward's like childhood, early adulthood, and 5 people in her life died in a short period of time, including her brother. And she's talking about things like drug use, and I'm assuming other things will also come up, but just things that impacted her community. So section by section, we're reading about each death. So it introduces the person that she lost and then shares a story about that person, or the day that she found out that person died, or the after effects of it. It's just very interestingly told. It feels like a narrative. It feels fictionalized, just with the level of detail, whether the sounds of the insects are really thoroughly described, or there's an arm slung around her shoulder, or the description of the plate of food in her lap at a memorial. It's very descriptive, very engaging, and just the way that she set it up, the intro itself, and then talking about how the story is kind of told not in a linear way. She has to start at the end, but then in another section she's going to start at the beginning, and it's all going to meet in the middle. And I think there's going to be certain like reveals that come out of each section, and I'm intrigued. I love how every memoir I've picked up this year has been told in such a different way, and they've all been equally compelling, while also almost all shedding light on like societal issues, mixed with intimate details of the author's life. And I'm gonna keep reading and I'll check in with you.
Which one?
No, because he said Rob will know. I don't know what Lego he wants. I don't know what Pokemon he wants. All I know is he wants Pokemon and Lego. It'd be like me saying, I want a book for Christmas, and just assuming you know the one I want. Did you get me any books for Christmas?
Yeah.
How many?
3.
Hello, friends. It's
Bye.
the end. No. It's the end of the night. I feel like I'm not gonna be very coherent because I'm so tired, but also I've been sobbing. I didn't want to expose you to that though, so now I am separated. And I talked in my mid-year video that a book hadn't made me cry yet this year, and I still think that that remained true for the rest of the year, except for like one tiny little tear. It's changed now. Like the end of this, it really hurt me. Sorry, I'm trying to find what section I wanted to pull a quote from, but I just think her writing is so vivid and so strong, and you feel like you really know these people. Like, this was such a fantastic tribute to these 5 men who meant so much to her. And also she had like a really important but respectful conversation within these deaths about cycles of poverty and drug use and situations that people find themselves in. Okay, so there are sections for the specific people and stories related to them, but then in between there are chapters called like We Are Wounded, We Are Watching, and things like that, where there's a specific time in her life that she's reflecting on and also having bigger conversations about. My favorite section is We Are Wounded because, for one, I find this is the first time I was really like impressed with something that she did. So she'll introduce an idea chapters ago. She'll say something like, my grandma had 7 kids, and the house began with 1 bedroom and ended up with 3. And it's just this brief little reference that doesn't mean anything, but we're like, okay, there's a little bit of context for your grandma. But then in this chapter, she comes back to it and says, like, here's how my grandma bought a house with 1 bedroom and ended up with this many. Here's what she did. Here's how she got there. Here's the type of person that she is. So that's something simple that I just really appreciated that she did throughout the memoir. And then also there was just this portion in here about her father. Throughout the entire thing, you learn about the difficult relationship she has with him, the way that he is treated, the family, the beautiful things about him, the terrible things about him. And she weaves in just like societal conversations with the intimate parts of family relations. So within the conversation about her grandma, she's talking about women who are doing the best they can with what they have, and about how some of their former husbands have relationships with other women and then married them, but then left them also, perhaps searching for a sense of freedom or a sense of power that being a Black man in the South denied them. If they were not called sir in public, at least they could be respected and feared and wanted by the women and children who loved them. They were devalued everywhere except in the home, and this is the place where they turned the paradigm on its head and devalued those in their thrall. The result of this, of course, was that the women who were so devalued had to be inhumanly strong and foster a sense of family alone. This is what my grandmother did. And this is just my favorite way that a memoir is done. Half like personal anecdotes and half whatever, you know, topics or conversations or themes that the memoir itself is having, whether it be family relationships or workplace stuff or societal things. And I feel like she has all of these conversations without like stereotyping, but also reflecting and shedding light on the systemic issues that she has seen growing up in rural Mississippi specifically. I feel like this is something I would reread, and I'm gonna buy myself a copy so I can also tab it. I prefer the paperback cover, which is a photograph from her childhood. The audiobook was really good, even though it wasn't read by the author herself, which is usually something that I prefer, but it was January Livoy, who's like a well-known audiobook reader. Thought it was fantastic. 5 stars. Favorite memoir of the year. Probably second favorite nonfiction of the year. My first one would be The New Age of Empire. But anyway, I'm just glad to have read another nonfiction, because I feel like I've only read maybe less than 20 for sure this year. And the fact that I loved it as much as you can love a heartbreaking memoir, that's great. And I will for sure pick up her fiction now. If you think I should read Salvage the Bones first or Sing Unburied Sing, guide me a little bit. Let me know which one I'm supposed to read first. Oh, and an update on these. Here's my dog. I don't hate it. I'm not done with it. I got tired of it, but I do enjoy felting. And then Liam did indeed fall asleep while we were watching Ice Age, whatever the Christmas short one is, but this is his polar bear currently in the works. Mine also looked like a polar bear for a while, but I just need to put the face and the Santa hat on both of these. Apparently I need a hot glue gun, which I didn't know. So maybe I'll dig that in the days to come. I have a little while till we're putting up the Christmas tree, but I have one more book to read, so I'll see you tomorrow. How do I get our, oh my god, I didn't know you'd be in it. How do I get our hard work in the vlog clip.
Tilt up your camera?
Yeah, but then I'm just a little head. Hello, friends. I forgot that I was filming this video and I want to post it tomorrow. So I'm gonna spend the next, I don't know, half hour reading this, which I now know is pronounced Galatea. What if we read aloud together?
By the Yule log?
Oh my god, can we?
I'd rather explode.
You read a chapter, then I read a chapter. It's 56 pages. And it's a story of a Greek man making the sculpture of Galatea. I think it comes to life or he falls in love with it. You know him. Pygmalion? You heard of that guy?
No.
I thought you were all about the mythology. Do you know who Achilles is?
Yes.
What's Circe?
Yes.
Whoa. I'm gonna get down now.
Probably safer for everyone.
Rob and I forgot it was our anniversary until it was our anniversary. And so I got him NHL 23.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read to you while you play?
That's what I've always wanted, babe.
Oh my god! We are so made for each other.
Just in love.
Galatea. It was almost sweet the way they worried about me. You're so pale, the nurse said. You must keep quiet until your color returns. I'm always this color, I said. Because I used to be made of stone.
Oh, so she like straight up came alive.
Yeah, she's alive. The woman smiled vaguely, pulling up the blanket. My husband had warned her that I was fanciful, that my illness made me say things that would sound strange to her.
The tea is the thing they give me when I won't lie back, and I hate it. For they sit beside me until I drink it all, and then my headache and my tongue hurts, and I piss the bed.
Oh. How do you all not love that story? Like when I posted that I was gonna buy this, I got so many messages from people saying like it's not good, and when I look at the Goodreads, so many of my friends like didn't like it. And maybe it's just because it's not a full-length novel and the people who picked it up don't typically like short fiction, but this was 5 stars. Rob, what would you rate it?
A good 4?
I'm so glad I bought this. I could cry. I love the author's note. She's talking about how it's seen as like a metaphor for artists who fall in love with their art too much, but also like there are so many misogynistic messages within the story and how he's creating this statue because none of the sluts and whores of the village are good enough for him, so he's making this just like pure sculpture that's everything he's ever wanted, and the only thing she cares about in life is serving him like sexually. But now the sculptor like has her own will, and that's like my favorite thing. I love stories where we have things that aren't supposed to have autonomy and then through everything they gain it. Robots, clones, aliens, I love it all, and now I love sculptures. Who knows where Madeline Miller's coming out with something new, but I'll read it because this is my favorite thing of hers. Oh, and I guess that's me wrapping up the vlog. So thanks for hanging out with me these couple days. I am not feeling well, Liam wasn't feeling well, so I feel like we didn't do as much as I had planned. Today was also just kind of a hectic, busy day, but my house feels festive and I read 3 things and enjoyed all of them. And that's just such a great way to kick off December. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.